Vietnam is now strongly promoting efforts to prevent illegal wildlife trade. Although there are still many challenges, the country's efforts have been recognized by the international community. In line with the Hanoi Conference on Illegal Wildlife Trade, we discussed the issue with a representative from the World Wide Fund for Nature in Vietnam, or WWF Vietnam. But first, let's look at one of the most recent efforts of Vietnam to take action against the wildlife trade.
2 tons of ivory and more than 70 kilo rhino horns are worth more than $7 million. The exhibits of illegal trafficking of elephant ivory and rhino horn in Vietnam were first destroyed on November the 12th in Sóc Sơn District, Hanoi. The event was witnessed by representatives of Vietnamese government, embassies in Hanoi, and international organizations.
Today they're destroying a huge shipment of ivory and rhino horns in order to demonstrate how committed they are to stopping the illegal wildlife trade, which is costing the lives of so many elephants and rhinos and even humans, the wildlife rangers who are standing in the way between the poachers and the elephants and rhinos.
DNA sampling of ivory and rhino horn under the provisions of CITES is the most important step in the destruction. DNA results will help determine where the ivory and rhino horns come from and how they were shipped to Vietnam. The destruction of ivory and rhino horn has been implemented in many countries in recent years. Looking toward the Hanoi Conference on Illegal Wildlife Trade, the determination of Vietnam has been highly appreciated by the international community.
I know that the usage of rhino horn is a part of tradition here in Vietnam, but if we are in a situation when this tradition threatens rhinos worldwide, then I think it could be time to consider whether to continue in this tradition or take a turn. Me and other my colleagues that work in Africa and try to save rhinos, we would highly appreciate it.
There are many positive trends in Vietnam at the moment. We can see the authorities making more efforts to seize smuggled ivory and smuggled rhino horn. We can see improvements that have taken place in shutting down bear bile farms. We can see improvements in terms of the number of NGOs in Vietnam. I mean Vietnamese NGOs, not international NGOs, that are working on these issues. And I think there is more and more awareness in the Vietnamese public about the damage that this trade does.
Hello, thank you very much for joining us here on VT News. Now, on November 12th, an event was held to destroy stockpiles of elephant ivory and rhino horn that have been seized from illegal smuggling cases. What is the significance of such event in the run-up to the Hanoi Conference on Illegal Wildlife Trade?
Stockpile destructions do convey a message that illegal wildlife trade is not tolerated, for poachers, traders, consumers, and to the international community as well. But stockpile destructions cannot stand by themselves. They need to be combined with concrete actions to reduce demand and to close down the markets for illegal wildlife products, as well as ensuring that there are the effective legal frameworks and deterrents to prosecute people who are involved in wildlife crimes. And in the run-up to the Illegal Wildlife Trade Conference, this signifies that Vietnam is willing to make these commitments.
A number of international organizations across the world have highlighted Vietnam as being a hotspot when it comes to the trading of wildlife, elephant tusks, and rhino horn, as we have mentioned. What do you think are the reasons that have led to this situation?
Vietnam's geographical position, as well as a lack of strong law enforcement at the provincial level throughout the country, as well as across borders with neighboring countries and overseas countries as well, has facilitated trade of endangered species to take place. And Vietnam has been receiving illegal shipments of wildlife parts like ivory, tiger parts, rhino horn, and they're processed or carved or worked here in Vietnam and then sold to locals and to tourists and then smuggled out of the country.
Vietnam lost its last one-horned rhino 6 years ago. Until 2013, there were just 70 to 130 elephants, and today they are seriously threatened. Preventing wildlife trade is posing a big challenge for Vietnam. Since joining the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wildlife and Flora, Vietnam has joined the international community in implementing this convention. Since 2010 to 2015, Customs Services seized approximately 18,000 kilos of ivory and more than 200 kilos of rhino horn from illegal shipments, contributing to the efforts of Vietnamese governments in the involvement and support of non-governmental organizations such as WWF, Traffic, Wildlife Conservation Society, WCS, and the Humane Society International, 8SI, with projects called for changes in the community awareness and support for the government in enforcing laws.
Can you please share some of WWF's current project in order to target the reduction of illegal wildlife trade?
Along with other NGOs, we've delivered a technical report to the government that highlights the benefits of revising the current legal code to ensure that to enable the prosecution of people involved with wildlife crimes. In addition to that, we are working with the corporate sector and with logistic and transportation companies to encourage them to adopt and instill a culture of zero tolerance for endangered wildlife products. And we'll be, in the next few months, WWF Vietnam will be launching a campaign to reduce demand for wild meat consumption in Hue. WWF will be part of an exhibition with 11 other local and international organizations working in Vietnam. And in this exhibition, we'll showcase the work that we do, which, even though it's very different, it complements each other and contributes to combating illegal wildlife trade in Vietnam. Additionally, WWF Netherlands has been leading a petition which already has 160,000 signatures from across the world. And this petition is calling for the Prime Minister to implement concrete actions to close down markets specifically for rhino horn and ivory.
In the opinion of WWF, what does Vietnam need to do in the coming time?
We still need to see time-bound specific plans to implement, strategic measures and actions, and this includes battling corruption at all levels and enhancing the capacity of rangers, and more than anything, make sure that there are effective deterrents so people know that if they are poaching or trading or consuming, they will be in trouble and they won't be able to avoid the penalty.
Thank you very much for joining us here on this